Let's do it for the Android PHP demo. Over here, we have to first create the PHP files for insertion, updation, deletion and selection. Then create the Android codes which will be actually doing all the tasks with the PHP codes. So let's start with the insert file. We'll have the PHP tag over here. I'll save the file as insert.php. We'll first check if the user has given us all the get variables, that is the name and the password. If you can remember, we have added one more field to our database called as txt password, and then we had all the other fields like the age and the other information. Just copy this thing for password, for age, contact, address, other information. Just close the bracket, open a new brace. Let me just change the variable names to txt password, txt age, txt contact, txt address and txt other information. Hope we are good with this. If all the information has been set, then we'll include the MySQL library and we have to, I hope the spelling is fine with this, MySQL library.php, that's fine. Then we have to first create the query. Before creating the query, let's take the variables inside a different variable names. So we'll get the variables from here and we'll put them over here. As you will be able to mark that we have made a mistake over here. We haven't written isSet, because isSet is a function that will check if all the variables have been set, and we'll get if name, age, or let's say password equals to $_get, and let me give over here txt password. Then we'll have age equals to $_get, then txt age, and we'll have contact equals to $_get txt contact. Then we'll get address equals to $_get txt address, and we'll have other information. So I'll $_get. Just copy the text for the information right from here and paste it over here. That will give me the other information. I hope we have taken all the variables into picture. That's fine. Then we can create the insert query by saying query equals to insert into TBL students. Let me give the field names as name, password, age, contact, address and other information. We have values. Name has to be in single quote, so we'll single quote $name. Password again in single quote, so I'll say single quote password. Then age should not be in single quote, so I'll just don't have the single quote. Then we'll have contact, so I'll say single quote contact single quote close. Then I'll have address, so I'll single quote address single quote close. Then I'll have other information, so I'll say other. Okay, so far so good. This will create the insert query. Then we can say MySQL start, and the other function that we had over here is execute query. Just copy the function, paste it over here and pass the query. You will check if execute query did not give you a -1, then you'll echo inserted successfully. Else you can echo cannot insert to database. Now this inserted successfully will come from the PHP file onto the Android device. So whatever you will pass over here will pass direct to the Android device. Now we'll just create one more file for the update.php. I'll say update.php, and over here I'll copy everything from the insert.php because that is pretty usual. We have to just add in 1-2 commands over there. We will say isSet $_ get and the ID that we want to get over here. Okay, and we'll get the ID over here by saying ID equals to dollar underscore get, and I'll just give a txt ID to this. That's fine. Dollar underscore get txt ID. If we get the ID as well, then we will create the query in front of us. How do we create the update query? We'll say update TBL students set name equals to single quote dollar name, comma, password equals to single quote dollar password, comma, age equals to single quote dollar age, comma, then we'll have contact equals to single quote dollar contact, then we'll have address equals to single quote dollar, and we'll have address, then we'll have other information. So I'll just copy the other information from the database. We will be having that thing over here, and if you can see, we'll just copy this thing from here and paste it over here, equals to single quote other. If you would have marked, we have made a mistake over here because we have given age in single quotes. Age should not be in single quotes because it is not a string, it is an integer value. We have to update the table students where we get the ID equals to dollar $ID. Whatever ID has been passed, you have to compare that ID, and for that ID you have to update the complete table with all the fields passed through that ID. Once we are done with this, we can press an enter over here. Then if the query was successfully executed, then we will say updated successfully, else we'll say cannot update the record in database. As you can see, this will be coming on the Android device, so whatever string you pass over here will directly come on the Android device. Once we are done, we can create a new file for delete. So we'll have PHP and we'll say delete.php. Over here we'll first copy the complete file from update.php, and we don't want to have the name, address or the other information, so I'll just remove that part from here. We don't want the name, so we'll just remove name, address, other information. We only want the ID over here because in the delete query we only require to have the ID which has to be deleted. Then we will say in the query delete from the table and move everything from here, only have where ID equals to ID, and you can say over here deleted successfully, and I'll say cannot delete the record from database. I hope we are fine with this. Then we can create a new file to select all the records. We'll have PHP. I'll select all.php. In this, we have to just include the MySQL library. Then we have to create the query by saying select star from TBL students, start the MySQL, and get the results by saying search database and the query. The query will fetch all the students over here. What we'll be doing is we'll be having a for loop for $count equals to 0, $count is less than size of $result, and then $count plus plus. We have to echo all the results and we have to append a EOR sign at the end. The EOR indicates end of record. So what we'll do is we'll say we'll first get the result, that is one result. I'll just give the variable name as one result equals to results of count. This will give me the current result that we are getting. Then we'll say echo one result in bracket $ID. We'll have a comma over here. Then we'll have one result in bracket the name of the person. Then we'll have again a comma. Then we'll have one result and the password of the person. Again a comma. I'll just have a dot over here. It's fine. Then we'll have one result and we can get the age of the person. Then we'll again have a comma. and then we'll get one result of contact, a dot and a comma. Then we'll have one result of address, again a dot, then a comma. Then we'll have one result of other information. Once the first result is completed, we have to give a EOR character. So we'll give EOR over here. This EOR will help us to separate the records out from each other. So we are getting this output. To check if this file is working fine or not, we can go to the browser and we can give over here select underscore all.php. As you can see, we are not able to get the output in the current record because we have set size of result. So we have to say size of results. If I refresh this thing, we'll be able to get the record, then a EOR character, then the other record, then again the EOR character. So if we'll separate this thing with the EOR character, we'll get the two records, this one and the second one. I hope we are clear with this.